what's going on, guys? Welcome back. It's Creature Dewey once again, back. Right at the last video we left off exposing some taxes on your groceries, and now today we are covering the crime wave across Canada. Originally this video was actually going to get cut, but I watched it and it's actually very important, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to watch at least some of it, and then we're going to get into the rest of the video without further ado.
Every morning we wake up, we hear terrifying news headlines. Broad daylight shootings, extortions, violent home invasions, carjackings have now sadly become the norm in our country.
That's right.
After 10 years of the Liberals' soft on crime, catch and release policies, we have seen chaos on our streets. Bills like C-75 and C-5 have now broken our criminal justice system. When you have an 8-year-old Javiah laying in his mother's arms, in his own home, shot and killed by a stray bullet, the system is broken. When you have a 71-year-old grandma out buying groceries in North York, fatally stabbed and killed, the system is broken. When you have a father here in Vaughan protecting his daughter, his family, in a home invasion, and is shot and killed, we have a broken system. And when we have Bailey McCord, who was brutally murdered by her ex-partner, who was convicted just 3 hours prior and released on bail, we have a broken system. When law enforcement are telling me and our caucus every step of the way that they are seeing the same folks being arrested and released into the system, we have a broken system. And friends, that one safe
Catch and release bail system, right? Okay, I think that's enough context. This social conservative guy, these are conservatives, Pierre's right there, obviously, so you know. However, I don't want to keep things solely that. I'm going to bring things a little bit personal for me to Thunder Bay, my hometown, and where I'm raising my kids, their hometown. I did not grow up here, but I do live here, and I am raising my kids here. And I was born here. Born here, raising my kids here, grew up in Kenora, Ontario. But, for all intents and purposes, this is home. You know, this is the place we live, this is where we're at. So, to make it personal, I have searched up the stats for Thunder Bay, where we live. In 2020, Thunder Bay marked its 5th consecutive year of having the country's highest homicide rate. While it reported the second highest rate in Canada in 2021, it took the top spot once again in 2022 and 2023. Okay, so that's CBC. Just keep that in mind. So there you go. There's a left-leaning one for you. Alright. So there's that. Let's check this. Media release Thunder Bay. So this is Thunder Bay Police Service. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to get into any of this. If you guys want me to get into this Thunder Bay Police Services, let me know, and I will come back to this and we'll get into it. Okay. But yeah, so there's that. This crime wave. The crime severity index in Canada has risen 2% in 2023, marking the 3rd consecutive year of increase and the continuation of a trend that began in 2015. That's the wiki, so we'll put the wiki on in the description as well. Here's this one, which I have queued up right here. So we'll read this. This is hugely very important. Now, I know this is conservative leaning, but let's just slap a liberal L over that in our minds for right now. Let's just pretend this is the liberal page, okay? So, if you're a left-leaning voter, a liberal, please just come and take this, come and watch it, come and see, and read the words, do your own assessment based off the words. You know, just because you lean one way doesn't mean you shouldn't look at things from both angles, okay? Now, that being said, we're going to get into this, and it's going to be very conservative bias, but we're going to disregard that fact. Ottawa, Ontario. After the first 3 Liberal terms, reckless, soft on crime policies, Canadians are less safe, criminals are less afraid, and our streets are less secure. The latest police reported crime stats for 2024 confirm what Canadians already know. Under the Liberals, crime pays and the Canadians pay the price. Since 2015, gun crime skyrocketed 130%. Instead of targeting criminals responsible, Carney is doubling down on failed Liberal playbook of targeting law-abiding firearm owners. Taxpayers are on the hook for tens of millions to pay for a failed gun grab, despite Carney's public safety minister not knowing basic facts about Canada's existing firearms regulations. Failing to tackle criminals who cause crime is why violent crime has risen by almost 55%, with the numbers of homicide increasing by 29% and sexual assault increasing by almost 75%. You hear that? And sexual assault increasing by 76%. Now, if you are pro-bail and not pro-jail, you are complicit to sexual assault. I'm just saying, like, for real. Jail is what stops crime. Jail is what lowers these percentages. These percentages are going high because we keep on bailing people out of their crimes instead of jailing them. Canadians continue to be victimized by fraud, which has spiked 94% since 2014. Okay, and here's a very key point. Okay, so this is extremely true. And one of the biggest places that's thriving, the fraud, so the fraud that has spiked to 94% since 2014. What could have changed in 2014 or 2015, you know? What was the change? I wonder. Must have been Trudy. Anyways, so the 94% spike on fraud, that's insane, and it's very valid. I think a lot of Canadians don't realize how valid. One of the biggest places that they're frauding people right now is in the housing market. They'll go and they'll save all these pictures from someone else's posts, and they'll fraud an identity to make an account behind, and they will, steal people's money. I myself fell for it a few years back. I was desperate to get out of Thunder Bay, and I wanted to move back to Kenora. And so I was saving up money, and I started contacting, homes in Kenora or whatever, or perceived to be homes in Kenora, and messaging across everything, Kijiji, fucking Facebook Marketplace, all the there's multiple different. I tried putting myself into the low-income housing in Kenora and all this. I signed up for all that stuff, and anyway, the long story short of it is it was about $800, $900 or so before I realized I was getting frauded. And then the person who originally got frauded, that got their identity stolen, messaged me and was like, hey, that's not me, I'm not that person who made this post, they stole my identity and all that. And so we kind of tried for a couple days to track the person down, follow them back to their main profile or whatever. We tried, but we couldn't find anything, and so nothing really became of it. And we probably both should have contacted the authorities, but I don't know, it was across Canada. The person who got their identity fraud was not even in Ontario. So that's how far of a net they were casting to basically try and get as many people frauded as they could, right? So that's the insane facts about that. Anyways, let's continue on here. Alrighty, sorry about that. My son just came and interrupted me, so I just had to pause the stream for a moment. Not the stream, the record. But yeah, so I just finished off right there. Okay. Extortion alone has surged 330% during the Liberals' time in office. Yet they refuse to protect the ever-growing list of victims against Bill C-381, which would have increased the penalty for extortionists. This data confirms what Canadians have been saying in their day-to-day lives. Since Carney was elected in April, high-profile cases have painted a grim picture on how dangerous Canada has become under the Liberals' reckless policies. Last month, we learned a 30-year-old was arrested, cash in hand, after attempting to pay for sex with a 15-year-old girl. Despite the clear-cut crime, he was given a conditional charge with just 3 months house arrest. Because it would delay his citizenship application by 4 years. Who the fuck cares? Send him home. If they are committing crimes, if they are fucking trying to pay cash or trying to elicit sex from a 15-year-old with cash, send the fucker home. It's not the only light sentence handed down recently. In May, a BC man who pledged guilty both to possessing and distributing child porn will serve 18 months sentence at home, in the comfort of his own home. The judge's rationale infamously called the victim's collection of child porn modest, despite the 54-year-old having communicated with a 15-year-old child. Meanwhile, the proportion of female victims of domestic violence has been rising, increasing from 32% in 2023 to 42% this last year, or the year before actually, so this may have risen even further now. Oh, I guess this year just started. Either way, that's a 10% jump in a year though. Like, holy fuck, man. Earlier this month, a Kelowna man was charged with horrifying second-degree murder of his ex-wife just 3 hours after being released, while awaiting sentencing for choking another individual and uttering threats. Insane. In-fucking sane. Alright, I'll have this one in the description for you. And this one. And this one. And this one.